And now to further discuss more of the follow-up of the ANC policy conference over the last couple of days, we are joined live in our Midrand studios by Mzwanele Manyi, who's the president of the Progressive Professionals Forum, as well as our resident political analyst, Sifiso. Mahlangu. Thank you so much for joining us here once again on Morning Prime. We really do appreciate your time, obviously. Mr. Manyi, let's start with you. Firstly, your general overview of the policy conference, as well as whether you feel there were clear policy victories for President Zuma.
Yeah. No, look, I think firstly, this was a watershed conference. I think the ANC delegates have outdone themselves, firstly in terms of how disciplined they were, also in terms of the quality of the discussion. It was just amazing. Peter can't tell you all the nitty-gritty, but having been in the commissions, I sit here as a very proud African National Congress member. To say that the delegates from the branches, they came very well prepared. They knew exactly what they wanted out of the conference. And I think they got everything that, not everything, but most of what they came for, I think they got. So I really think the conference was really a watershed, a lot of clarity on a whole range of issues, as it were. And I honestly think that the conference left more united than it came. So with all the divisions and the factions and the divisiveness, particularly by media, mainstream media in these things, I really think that comrades got there and they just defied all of that. I think the biggest loser, if there is such a thing, are all those that were driving narratives to say ANC is dying, ANC is dead. I think ANC has come back in full force, indeed. I think all that investment of 3 years or so to drive a wedge within the ANC members, I think that project has seriously failed, as it were. So I sit here as president of the Progressive Professionals Forum, and I'm saying big up to the ANC, and it was a very successful conference. This was indeed not a conference to make decisions, but to make policy proposals and so on. And I think it's very clear. I mean, there's a very clear proposal on issues of land. And I think when branches discuss this, most of this will be public information, as it were. So there's clear proposals on what are the issues on land, clear proposals on the Reserve Bank, clear proposals on how to make sure that SMEs are getting better. And all that. And it's just a pity that mainstream media has sought to characterize everything as if it was a discussion on what monopoly capital and monopoly capital. That indeed happened, but it did not characterize the conference. The conference was much more broader with real, genuine issues. So I really think it was a successful conference. I think South Africa should be proud to say that they have an organization called African National Congress.
And now, Sifiso, obviously lots of people are talking about the fact that President Zuma closed the conference yesterday by addressing those in attendance, stating that the winner-take-all mentality makes ANC, in fact, a loser. Do you see this as a political masterstroke by the president, as in one single move, he seems to have made himself above factional politics here?
You know, the opening function and the closing functions were the only ones that me and Mr. Manyi attended together. Because, as you remember, they were not allowed to meet people of the media because they were in delegates. So the media specialists and us sat in various studios and in the media room listening to briefings, but they were separated primarily from the media so they wouldn't give us inside information, which didn't really help because the rumor mongers really got it out there, particularly in the world of social platforms. I think the reality of this conference presented a more united African National Congress, but I feel that a very militant African National Congress. You know, the debates that gone on and time after time, because I listened to the reports from plenary and the reports from all the commissions, there was a sense that a very militant posture was taken, and the conversation was primarily around land and the economy, and that could not be avoided at this conference. Of course, there were some technicalities, like when Mr. Joel Netutenza came and spoke, gave us a report, and said the ANC doesn't believe in white monopoly capital and that it has assessed itself to just call it monopoly capital. And I said to Karapets, I think this man is lying. Guns were blazing a few minutes later when delegates forced their way, out of the delegates' position into the media booths to come and inform us that this man was not telling the truth. They further then took that case to the steering committee of the ANC. And so we wondered, why would he come and have a Pinocchio moment and mislead the nation? Why would he come and lie? Well, he came to lie because he wanted to paint a narrative that Mr. Ramaphosa is ahead of this commission and the Zuma forces have died and the ANC is broken, particularly on white monopoly capital. They wanted to paint a narrative that the term white monopoly capital was coined by a PR firm called Bell Pottinger. And that was not what the discussions were about. I understand that the delegates presented a lot of proof on the term white monopoly capital and within the existence of the organ which they call white monopoly capital. And then they came and they lied to the nation and they misled us. So that gave us a lot of inside information to say there is division, I think, within the ANC on what radical policies to apply so far as the economy is concerned. But I often said that behind the veil of policy lies the leader they want. So this was not in turn an elective conference, but it was a policy conference and people were choosing policies that related to their leaders or the policies that sort of unveiled the leadership that they want. But in the end, President Zuma came in the final speech and suggested a consolidated slate, if you want to call it that, a negotiated party to say, now there is no loser, the winner is always the ANC. If I contend with you and you lose to me, you become the deputy. So succession doesn't work because you've got an elective conference. There's no immediate succession or tradition of the ANC. So everyone has a position. So it seems like a better negotiated slate. And some people, of course, disagreed with this. But this means, Lauren, that if I contend with you, I don't fight.
Unfortunately, we don't have much time. Otherwise, we would continue with this discussion. Sorry about that, Sifiso Mahlangu, who is our resident political analyst, and Mr. Manyi, who is the president of the Progressive Professionals Forum. Thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Prime. We really do appreciate your time.